Hello, boys and girls. Welcome to another episode of Comics and Sweet Tea. Boy, I can't tell you how excited I am to be starting this show again. Um, Man, it's so awesome to be able to sit down with all these incredible creators and just talk comics, man. Find out what makes them tick. Just get into it, get into the skinny, as the young folks say, or hell, you might not say it anymore. Regardless, but you we get a chance, an inside look at the creator, and kind of find out, what brought their book about, why they're doing the book, and just get to know them, you know. And I can't tell you how much I enjoy doing this. It's amazing. We all have our own story to tell, and it's nice to kind of get an insight to the process because everybody takes its own differently. So if you're new to the show, here's what I need you to do. I need you to tell everybody you know about this channel. Get them to subscribe because we're trying to grow this thing out. And we want to just keep bringing you guests. And yeah, let's grow this thing. And I can't do it without each and every one of you. So without further ado, I've got an awesome creator. The creator of Trakovi, the Slav with no remorse. I'm sure you've heard of it from Scout Comics. He's going to be talking about that. And he's going to also be talking about a few projects he's got up his sleeve. I'm just as excited as you are to be hearing about this. So let's get into it without further ado. The one, the only, Adriean Koleric.
Hey, you really did pump my tires.
I told you, man.
Like, oh,
It's fucking awesome to have you in here, Adriean.
I feel like I should have like a curtain come out of it. You know what I mean? Just sort of like,
Yeah, but it's so awesome to have you on, dude.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, it's cool.
But yeah, me and Adriean were talking before the show started and just kind of doing a rundown on things and some of the things he's got cooking. Let's dive right into the main thing, Trakovi.
hmm
Where did this idea come from? How long have you been sitting on this, Adriean?
Yeah. So, I mean, like everybody, I always wanted to do a comic. It was something that I knew I was going to do, but I did every form of artwork that had nothing to do with comics, right? So it's like I was avoiding it. It was like
Right.
it's like when you have a job to do, but you do everything else but that job, right?
Exactly.
So yeah, so eventually I got back into kind of like illustrating and stuff like that, and started doing like fan art and whatever. And then I was at Edmonton Expo, which is like our Comic Con or whatever here,
Right.
in like 2019, and I was having like just the slowest weekend you can imagine. Like I think I sold maybe 2 prints. It was just an
Oh,
awful,
wow.
awful weekend. Nothing was going on, right? Everybody around me wasn't doing great, and so I just decided then just to just start scripting out a book, and then I met a couple of people, other vendors, and I created a character off of one of the vendors, and kind of sort of based story around him, and just kind of
Oh, wow.
it kind of went from there, right? So by the time
Gotcha.
by the time the 3-day thing was over, Sunday night I came home, I kind of sat on the couch, I just started laying out scenes, and then it was just a fluid thing after that,
Right.
right? So it was probably about a year process to write the script, draw out all the roughs and stuff like that, because I've never done a comic book before.
Right.
And so yeah, like year 1, year 2 was like it was like 2 issues in like 2 years kind of thing. And then yeah, so then I based it I based it around my city here in Edmonton, so
Right.
I picked spots and all that, which made like way easier, right? Because when you
Yeah.
start off with something, right, you do the YouTube videos, the how-tos, right, how to do a comic book,
Right.
right?
Right.
And a lot of times like you got a world build, you got to draw a map. I'm like, fuck, I'm not gonna draw a map, right? It's just like it's like
You
I know where
built
these
from your own reality.
yeah, I know where these places
Yeah.
are, right? And it's like, and
Right.
it's funny because I remember I was reading no, I was watching an interview with Sarah Jessica Parker, and she's talking about Sex and the City, right? And she was saying how in Sex and the City that the city of New York was like the 5th character, you know, like, and
Right.
it was a major one. I thought, well, that's, you know, write what you know, right? That's the oldest
Exactly.
cliche, but yeah, man, that made things so much easier because you had your settings, and then you know, I based characters off of people I knew, you know, in some capacity. So I had voices in my head of how they looked, how they
Right.
moved, and that, and then yeah, it was just kind of trial and error, right? And then plus too, because I stopped collecting comics like way back mid '90s kind of thing, right? And so I was kind of out of the scene. I wasn't following trends or anything like that.
Right.
So I felt like I wasn't a comic book guy. I still find I'm not. I got a collection now. I'm back at it, but I still
Yeah.
consider myself not a comic book guy. So I find I don't. I didn't get stuck in any tropes or anything like that, right? I just kind of like
Right.
I just drew and wrote what I wanted to at the time. Yeah.
Hey, that's the best thing, though. I mean, really, that's when you come up with the really good shit. You know,
I hope
I
so.
think.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, you know, those that liked it really liked it, and those that didn't like it didn't really like it. You know, so
Yeah.
it's just it is what it is. You're not gonna, you know, please everybody, but like I said, the ones that liked it really liked it, and so
Right.
you know, at least I got somebody to like it.
Well, like we were talking about before we kicked off the show, you know, everybody, you know, fans in general, and like I said earlier, I hate to use the word fans because I don't feel like I'm popular enough to have fans, but
Yeah.
hell, I'm a fan. You know, I love comics. So we'll
Yeah.
do it like that. Fans
Yeah.
in general,
Yeah.
they automatically have a preconceived notion of what to expect from your creation. And if it doesn't meet that, you know, it's like they fucking crucify you, man.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, certain factions definitely. Yeah, they definitely are set in their ways, and which is fine. You know what I mean? It's like if you know you like roast beef, you like roast beef. I can't. You
Right,
know, you could, you know, we could try some other whatever sauce on top you want, but it's, you know, at the end of the day, you
right.
want roast beef kind of thing. But yeah, I know. I find like it's funny because like when I started writing and all that, I had no audience in mind, right? Because I just didn't.
Gotcha.
Because but I find like the ones that I attracted were more into the indie scene. You know what I mean? They like the
Yeah,
quirky stuff. They like, you know, they're almost like the anti big two fan, I
gotcha.
guess, right? And so they understood, you know, they appreciated, you know, the offbeat approach of the book, right?
Right.
Which I guess, you know, I kind of wanted to do. You know, I just wanted, you know, I was hoping I was doing something a little bit different, and it ended up,
Gotcha.
yeah, it ended up being something a little bit different. So
Right. And that, you know, the big two, uh, I had always when I was coming up, and I've always loved comics. I always thought I wanted to work for the big two. But the
yeah,
older I've gotten, I mean, I fuck that, man. I mean, they have
yeah,
this, they
yeah.
have this cookie cutter thing,
Hmm.
and if you don't fit in that box, you know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
They're not going to hire you first off unless you mold to what they want you to be.
Yeah,
You, and I think people in general are just tired of it. You know, I mean,
yeah.
comics, the big two's been getting a lot of hate
Hmm.
over the last couple of years, you know, diminishing sales and stuff
Hmm.
like that. They don't do anything original anymore. And I mean,
Yeah,
every time, and the reader can't get invested because, fuck, I mean, every 6 months, oh, guess what? It's all new, all whatever. We're
yeah. It's a new
starting
number
over.
one. Yeah, I
Everything,
know.
yeah.
Yeah, it's like I don't. It's like I know. Like
You can't get invested in anything.
I know, like I'm a big Daredevil fan,
Right. Me too.
and so I got back like, and I was mentioning it off camera, like, you know, the Chip Zdarsky Daredevil run got me back
Right.
into comics. As soon as I was passing
Loved
by,
it.
as soon as I saw that poster in the window of issue one, you know, with Daredevil with his, you know, arms
Right.
crossed and just the whole lot, I'm like, I'm back, right? And I loved
Yep.
it. And then and so it ran, you know, I can't remember how many issues, and then all of a sudden it's like there's a new number one now. Same writer,
Yeah.
the same artist and all that, but it's a new number one. I'm like, what? It just kind of threw me off now. It's like, oh, for fuck's sakes. And so they did
Yeah.
that, and then they did another number one after that, and another. It's
Yeah.
just like, okay, you know, it's just,
Here we go with this shit. It's
I don't,
all marketing, but
yeah,
they're killing their audience. I mean,
yeah,
everybody's just they're like, fuck this. I can't get invested in this.
And they'll have
You
like a
know?
legacy number underneath it. I'm like,
Right.
what the fuck is this? Like it's like when Aunt Jemima got renamed Pearl Milling Company, but they still say Aunt Jemima in the corner.
Yeah,
right? It's
exactly.
Like, fuck, I know it's Aunt Jemima. You know it's Aunt Jemima. It still says
Right.
it, but it's smaller
Exactly.
now, right? You know,
Yeah.
I don't know. It is what it is. And it's funny. It's like, listen, let's be honest. If Marvel or DC called, you know, you or I today and said, hey, do you want to write so and so? I'd be like, fuck yeah, I'll do it, right? It's Marvel, of course
Yeah.
I'll do it, right? And all that. Same time, man, I'd be scared shitless, right? Because
Oh man, I'd be shitting my pants, dude.
and it's the fandom. It's the fandom that scares me because, you know, because it's their beloved character. There are like decades of history behind it, and there's expectations that it has to be a certain way. You know what I mean? You can't veer outside of the lines, right? You know, it reminds me like when Batman versus Superman came out, the Zack Snyder movie, right? You know, and Batman's like, Batman's got a shotgun, right? Fucking the whole world just exploded, right? Batman's got a shotgun, right?
Oh my God, yeah.
Oh, that's fucking cool, actually. I was like, yeah, you know, it's about time, right? I mean, he's gone through enough shit, right? Because it was an older Batman, you know, and he probably got tired of like whatever. I'm like, I don't blame him. It's like, some people don't realize it's like,
I mean, he's pushing 50 years old. He's tired of getting kicked around. He's like, fuck these little punks. I got this shotgun. I don't have to get kicked around.
You know what? Listen, I'm pushing 50 years old, right? And it's like, I find my patience is less, you know? It's just like, I get a little, you know what I mean? It's like, I've learned to like hate other people's kids in public places, you know? It's like, it's just little things. Like, so I can imagine dealing with the criminal element. And it's like when he pulled out that gun,
you can totally see it. Yeah.
I'm like, I fucking get it. I totally get it, right? And it's funny. It's like these people that are complaining about. I'm like, why are you complaining about? You're just as, you know, disgruntled as he is, right? And he's got more on his plate. So.
And the sad part was, I mean, Zach said he used, you know, Frank Miller's Batman Returns as the basis for that, and I mean, it was totally true to that storyline. You know,
it really was.
Yeah, it's like they didn't even see that. You know,
it's funny too. It's like as much as that movie got panned, like I feel like I'm one of the few voices that loved Batman versus Superman.
Oh, I liked it.
I did. You know, I liked you know, I liked how like Zack Snyder is so good at creating like iconic images, right? Like
God, yeah.
When you first see the Batman in that house that was housing those ladies in like the prison in the basement,
right?
Cop goes upstairs and all that, and then you know all of a sudden you see him in, you know, he's up in the corner, right?
Yeah,
and just him kind of scurrying along, whatever. And I was like, it's fucking just gorgeous shit, right? And which is what Zack Snyder does, right? He just, you know, I don't know.
Man, he makes a beautiful film.
I mean,
say what you want to about him, but he's got a vision.
Yeah,
and
I mean, he's made some.
A lot of people shit on Watchmen, you know, but I love that movie.
I never understood that. You know what's funny? It's Watchmen. I love the movie. I love the series too.
I did
a couple years ago on that. I gotta tell you, I don't think I've ever finished the book. I got so bored of it.
Oh wow!
I got so bored of the reading. I'm a lazy reader at times, right? And I just found I just like, so I never actually sat down and read it from front to back. So I really should. So yeah, I don't get much opinion about Watchmen because, you know, I'm too much of a fake, right? But
I tell you, I mean, the movie is pretty much scene by scene. I mean, he stayed extremely true to that story, and people still shit on it. You know,
you can't make people happy. Honestly, it's just like, you know, it's like I follow, you know, like I'm a big Star Wars fan, and you know, every day, you know, on my thread pops up, you know, the hatred for, you know, everything Disney's done with Star Wars and all that. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? It's like they've given us like some fantastic shit. Like, you know, like Ahsoka was great, Andor was great. Oh God, yeah. The Mandalorian was great. You know what I mean? It's like, I know the sequels people really hate, you know.
Yeah.
People hated the prequels when it came out.
They really did. I feel like in the next, say, 10 years, 12 years, there's going to be those fans that come forward and say, hey, we love the sequel
right.
trilogy.
They're going to talk
just
about
like they've done with the prequels.
Yeah, they're going to talk about The Last Jedi like it's fucking Empire Strikes Back, right?
Yeah.
You know, and Last Jedi really was a gorgeous movie. Like it was just like some of the scenery, like the
Right.
in
It's
Snoke's.
very well shot.
Oh, well shot. Like I love the red, the white, the black kind of color
Oh
motif and all
God, yeah.
that.
The
And
fight in the throne room was amazing.
oh, even too when Luke shows up as like his holograms, whatever, and takes on
Yeah.
Kylo and all that. Like I wish I don't know. I didn't care how they turned Luke into like this.
Disgruntled old fart.
They basically copy Yoda, right? They copy
Yeah.
Yoda. That's what it was, right? And
They really did.
And that's my biggest hang up with the sequels is how they just basically just stole from the original.
It's like a remake of the original.
That's exactly what it was, right?
It was basically a reboot.
Yeah, and it's funny. It's like as people discover that they're kind of being duped in the writing, then all of a sudden the prequels look like the greatest thing ever, right? And it's funny. It's funny. I remember when Phantom Menace came in theaters, and of course everyone's excited. We're all fucking excited, right?
Oh God!
I remember
our expectations were sky high.
So I was sitting in the theater, with my wife, and it opens up, and there's like the Trade Federation guys, and they start talking like in really bad like Chinese accents.
Yeah.
I go with my wife, I'm like, uh-oh. The first thing I was like, oh no. And then it kind of went. I'm like, okay, not too much, but whatever. And then they get to Jar Jar. I'm like, oh no. And he's got this weird Calypso type accent. I'm like, oh no. And then they get to the kid. I'm like, oh no. And it was just like, just like kept piling on. But then you had moments with like, with Darth Maul. So they introduced this fantastic character, right? And then, when he opens up his lightsaber, and then a double lightsaber, and everyone's like, oh,
like, holy shit.
And then they fucking slice him down a well. I'm like, oh, come on. Right?
Yeah.
They gave us a fantastic character, threw him down a well kind of thing, right? But then most Star Wars fans
he walked that back, yeah. I mean, Lucas walked that back with Filoni. And brought him into the Clone Wars.
You know what? And it's amazing how the Clone Wars and Rebels really
they fleshed out the prequels, basically.
Yeah. And it's funny. It's like, listen, when the prequels were out, I didn't like them. Like I was one of the guys that like, oh, this is whatever. Now it's like Revenge of the Sith is probably like, I'd almost say it's my favorite Star Wars movie in the whole gambit.
It's crazy how time does that.
Because
I'm the same way. I hated them when they first come out. My son, he was like 5 years old when we went and watched Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
And he absolutely loved Anakin. And he loves the prequels.
My kids
to
too.
Day, that's his Star Wars. That was his
exactly it. Yeah.
But I'm just like you. I mean, Revenge of the Sith, it's like in my top 5 now. Out of everything.
When you break down what happens, like
exactly.
If someone says, explain to me, like, well, this is when Anakin starts becoming darker, and he kills a bunch of kids, and and then him and Obi-Wan get in a fight, and Obi-Wan lobs his legs off and trash talks him a bit, and watches as he sets on fire, right? And it's he's still yelling at him while he's on fire, right?
And I'll never forget. My son started crying. I'm like, "Holy shit! They did this in a Star Wars movie." I'm like, "Oh my god!" I just traumatized my kid.
I know he choked his pregnant wife.
Yeah,
he choked her out. Like it was just like, you're watching basically like Revenge of the Sith is basically a domestic dispute. It's just like
it really is.
It really is, and it's funny. So like I've watched Sith so many times now. It's just
me too.
I never get tired. And I've gone back even to Clone Wars, and Clone Wars is always ranked dead last in everyone's list. Always is. But
I love it. Certain episodes.
Oh, sorry, Attack of the Clones. I'm sorry, Attack of the Clones.
Oh yeah.
But when you go back to Attack of the Clones, man, I'm telling you, that movie has some of the best battle scenes I've ever seen in Star Wars.
The Dooku Yoda fight. Oh my god.
Oh, I remember being in the theater when Yoda pulls out his little lightsaber, the whole fucking crowd cheered.
Oh,
it was cheered. I even like
it erupted, dude.
Seriously, it was like almost like Endgame type cheer, right? And Endgame was like being at a fucking playoff game.
It really was.
It really was. It was amazing. That was like still one of my all-time favorite moments in a theater. Like it was just like everyone was just.
And I don't know if we'll ever get back to that with Marvel.
No, we won't.
It's
you know what?
Sad fact. I think it peaked right there.
Yeah, I think the last time I had, apart from the Yoda thing, was Terminator 2, when Terminator 2 was out in the theaters.
Right.
And I remember Schwarzenegger's character was down and out, and then he was kind of moving. I remember there's this big biker behind me. He's like, "Come on, Arnie!" He was like cheering him on, right? And the whole crowd kind of got into it, all that. And so I kind of missed those days. But
God, yeah.
But yeah, Endgame really was the Endgame, wasn't it? It really
Oh,
was.
it really was.
Because
really was.
Everything after that was just I have trouble sort of remembering everything after that. I've watched everything after.
Me too, but it's there's nothing to get invested in to me anymore. It's pretty much like the comics.
They've really diluted it. Yeah,
they really have. I mean, what they took their time with the originals, you know. Yeah, and I mean they really got you invested in these characters. You cared about Tony Stark. You cared about Captain Rogers. You cared about all of them. You know.
Yeah, it was like what, 3 movies a year, maybe.
Slow build. Yeah. Slow build.
Yeah, it was the scarcity of it, I guess, as well, right? Like, and that was the big draw with Star Wars too. It's like when Phantom Menace came out, we only had 3 movies behind us.
Exactly.
Right, and we haven't had a Jedi came out in what, 86,
82. Oh no, Jedi was 84.
84. Sorry, 84. Right.
Yeah.
So then you go, what was it, 1990, 91? When the fuck did Phantom Menace come out?
98, I believe. 98.
Was it 98?
98.
It was 98. Yeah. Okay. Right. Okay. So think of like that gap in between, right?
Huge.
Yeah, so it's funny with Marvel. It's like, you know what? It's like typical Disney, though. It's like, once Disney kind of like, gets a few bucks in their account, and then all of a sudden, man, they water that shit. They water it down, right? But at the same time, though, I find they haven't really fucked up Star Wars yet for me. Like, I think they've actually
a lot of people have shit on it, just like you said earlier. But Andor, oh my god, dude, that show. Amazing.
You know what? Yeah,
the writing in that show is so fucking good.
It is. It was so grounded. I was a little kind of thrown off at first, right? Because it was too. I don't know what it is. I was kind of bored at first with it, first episodes. So then I went back and rewatched it,
Right.
And with Andor, I find you got to try to you got to batch watch it, right?
You really do.
Yeah, and then once you kind of get it all together, it's a great series.
It's probably incredible.
My favorite. It's probably my favorite series, I would think.
Without a doubt. Well, we jumped right off a cliff of Star Wars, but that's all right. Hey, let me show you. Right there. Got the head at. Yeah. I'm a huge Star Wars nut, man. You can sidetrack me in a heartbeat with Star Wars.
I know. We'll save it for another time. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll definitely do it again. Hey, I do. I'm probably going to be bringing back Grumpy Old Nerds, where we discuss Star Wars shows and stuff like that too. So I'd love to have you on.
Oh my god, yeah!
I would love to talk Star Wars and/or whatever.
Done.
Just get into it, just like we did that.
I'll bring notes.
Hell yeah. I've got some too.
Hey, I'm gonna pull up flow charts. Okay.
Hell yeah. So here's where it started going wrong, right? Clone Wars, and then
But just some bad slideshow type meeting.
Hell yeah.
Start off with. Yeah.
Hell yeah. But I would love to do that. But getting back, so comics, what was your gateway into comics? What was your book that really the moment where you just kind of bought into comics?
You know what? It was actually, and I keep it up here still. G.I. Joe.
Oh hell yeah!
Yeah, I keep it around. So, I had to find a new copy, right? Because I got rid of my comics a long time ago.
Yeah.
So I tracked it down, right? And I remember this issue. So Snake Eyes was missing, and and eventually at the end, they're kind of at this lake or whatever, and they kind of they go underneath the lake, and then they keep having like this knock, and they kind of show this bunker underneath the water, knock, and you assume it's Snake Eyes, right? Anyway, so I love the whole cliffhanger kind of vibe to it, and I love G.I. Joe back then.
Oh god, yeah.
So that was like my book, right? And then of course, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles came out, and then the Tick, because I just liked how quirky of a drawing they both were, the style of it, right?
That, and it was something totally different.
Something different, right? And then of course, then Todd McFarlane, right?
Oh God, yeah.
Like honestly, I was at that age, that high school, that junior high school age when we were, you know, shown who Tom McFarlane was. And it's funny, Tom McFarlane's from Calgary, right? Which is like, you know, a few
Right.
hours like from Edmonton. And it was like a fucking moon landing for us, right? Just because how he drew, you know, Spider-Man's web. You know, he reinvented the web, right?
He really
you know,
did.
He just kind of like sort of like expanded outside of the panels. You know, the pages seemed bigger. His line work was like, fuck, he had so much line work. You know what I mean? Like it was like a lot, right?
And everything brought something to it. It wasn't just there for shits and giggles. It added to it.
Yeah. And
know?
his faces were different. It wasn't like, you know, it wasn't this like, you know, the Marvel way type looking faces.
Right.
It's like fucking guys who just have like heavy, like, you know, hairy eyebrows, like a Greek guy, right? You know what I mean? It was just like, you know, I think even the women had like 5 o'clock shadows, right? It was just this darkness to it. Yeah. And so that, and then all of a sudden then everyone else started kind of popping up, like, you know, like Wills Portacio and then Jim Lee and then Rob Liefeld. You know, Valentino, and then who else was around there? Eric Larson. Basically all the Image guys, really, before they became Image, right? And
the Magnificent Seven.
Yeah,
you had Silvestri, all those guys.
Yeah.
You had Leafield, you know, all those guys.
And it's funny, so like I would try to, you know, draw like those guys, right? And I realized I couldn't draw like those guys. And so then I came across the Daredevil run with Annie Nocente and John Romita Jr. And I love that run because John Romita, my dog's eating something. So I just remember John Romita had like this really simplistic style, right? And it was almost a style that I felt like I could mimic. You know, and as a kid that wanted to, you know, a kid that was trying to learn to draw, having something accessible, like something that I think I can do, was huge, right? You know what I mean? Because it kind of felt like, you know, it wasn't exclusive, right? And that was probably my biggest gateway, apart from Todd, right? Was the John Romita Jr. Daredevil, and then from there, just I just tried mimicking it, started drawing it.
Were you still in the comics when JR jumped on with Mark Millar on the Wolverine run?
No,
that was incredible.
Man, I jumped off in 92, I think. 92,
you got off the train way before I did. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? It was, well, everything was happening then, right? I got a girlfriend. You know.
That'll do it.
Yeah, it would do it. You know, I was like, you know, I was grade 12. I was almost out of high school.
Right.
So I was like, I'm like, oh my God, I got to get a job, right? You know, I got to go to, you know, college and all that. And then so life kind of took whatever. And I don't know. I think too, it's like, so that's when Image started, and it just like something was feeling really saturated about everything. You know what I mean? I think that's kind of when that's when that comic bust kind of
happened. Boom, the bubble. Yeah, mid-90s. You would have like 10, 12 covers to one issue.
Dude. I remember too, guys would come in and just grab a stack of one book, right? Stupid. You know, like I got duplicates of like some 90s books. I'm like, fuck, I can't even give them away. Right. You know what I mean? So it was just like one of those times, I guess. So I don't regret it, to be honest. I really don't regret it.
Oh God, no. You can go in the comic book shop, and I mean, all those books that we were just, you know, they were selling out left and right. Like you said, it was oversaturated. Their print rate was through the fucking roof.
Oh, fuck,
like 10 million copies, you know.
Isn't that insane? Holy fuck, God. Yeah.
And you get these things, and they're worthless now. I mean, you find a lot of the Image books in dollar bins, or $2 for $1, $3 for $1.
I know. It's I know, but it's funny though. I still appreciate like the Tom McFarlane Spider-Man.
Oh God, yeah.
And so it's funny. So earlier this year, they came out with like a collection, like an omnibus of that run. And so I picked it up, even though I got the individual issues. I still picked it up. I use it as a reference manual. You know, or just kind of like, of course, one of those things that kind of gets you going. You kind of just flip through it, right?
Exactly.
And just, you know, kind of
just inspiration. Yeah,
exactly what it is, right? Yeah, and I find too, it's funny with McFarlane. For me, I just find he's just kind of like, he's really aged nicely. Like his work, I don't look
Yeah.
back at his work and cringe, you know, like I look back, I'm
No,
like, man,
God, no.
that really was good. Really, actually, all those guys, you know what I mean? Like you know, even
Yeah.
Rob Liefeld, right? I know we talked a little
Yeah.
bit before about Rob, right? But I
You
still look back.
still, we were talking about that earlier, and I mean,
Mhm.
still, you got to put respect on the dude's name. I mean,
Yeah,
look
yeah.
what, I mean, we wouldn't be here, talking right now if it wasn't for Leafield,
No,
because
I know.
he's like the father of indie comics. I mean,
Mhm.
he's the one got all these guys together and jumped off and started Image.
I know,
You
I
know,
know. And it's funny. It's like I always feel it's like he's got the right to kind of like be how he is. You know, it's like you've earned it. You want to
I
be a
don't
d
know if he's
bag.
got what that
Well, I mean, no, okay,
right.
no one's really got the right, I guess, to be
Yeah,
to be a douche, right? You know, but I mean,
but
I don't
he's
know.
done a lot for comics. He really has.
He has. I know. There are times he's kind of like, he talks out of his ass, right? You're like, oh, dude,
He does
really?
that a lot.
Like,
Yeah,
why do you do that? You know? Um, yeah, I don't know. It's
you
just,
either love him or you hate him. There's no in between. I mean, none whatsoever.
God, I'm not sure where I sit with him at times. I was telling you how my friend got me on that Facebook page, the anti, you know,
Yeah,
Rob Liefeld page. I'm just like a fly in the wall, just watching people just tear him apart like he's a terrorist, you know. And it's it's just like,
like he's not today, ISIS.
oh,
Yeah,
it was just like,
yeah,
man, people like post up like snippets from interviews that he did, and they'd like break it
right.
down, and like they put up like images of his work, and they like like a teacher, they would just kind of mark it up and put notes, right? Like I'm sure
Yeah.
Rob's gonna be like
Oh
going through like,
wow.
oh, this guy's right, it's just like
Yeah.
I don't know. It kind of got to me a few weeks ago when Rob had tweeted out. I don't know if he was being sarcastic or not. He was tweeting out saying how his Wolverine's the best Wolverine, right?
Oh.
I was just like, oh,
Okay.
okay, okay.
Mm.
So I kind of like in my head, I'm thinking like he's just baiting. I feel like he's
That's
baiting
all he's doing, man.
because he damn
I
well
think he's a
knows.
drama queen. I really
Yeah,
do.
yeah. Because I mean, like
He
really, I mean,
lives
it's like
for it.
yeah, like every face that he draws, it's the same face, right?
Yeah.
It's the same face, right? And it is what it is. I totally get it, right?
Right.
So it's funny. So someone, some random guy took one of Rob's Wolverines, and it was like it was a pose where he's kind of jumping, and then how Rob
Right.
has like just it's like a big V kind of whatever. So some guy
Yeah.
photoshopped it, slimmed it down, right? It ended up looking more worse than it was, right? And this guy was trying to say it was better than whatever. And so anyway, so
Yeah.
Leafield reposts it, comments on it. He basically goes after this guy. So this poor schmuck, I think he went fucking underground, right? I think he closed his Twitter account or whatever. And he was like, yeah, Rob just kind of gave him a what for, right? And
Right.
that was it. So that was kind of funny. I kind of made me laugh, but I keep thinking, like I said, I think he's just kind of playing with the haters, to be honest. I think he enjoys it.
Oh yeah. It trolls him.
Yeah,
It does.
yeah. He does a good job of it too, right? Because I mean, like that's the thing too. Like that old saying, bad publicity is still good publicity, or there's no such thing as bad press,
Exactly.
or whatever,
There's
right?
no such thing as bad publicity.
So
It's
I think
all
yeah.
if
So I
they're
think he's,
talking bad about you, hey, guess what? You're still in the conversation. They're still talking about you.
yeah. I mean, like I said, you gotta respect the guy at some point. I mean, he's done well, extremely well. I mean,
Oh God, yeah.
the royalties
And
he has
look,
coming in, and
even though I mean, a lot of people, we all know he ripped off Death Strike with Deadpool, but
oh
I mean,
yeah,
it's still a
yeah,
cool fucking character.
yeah. And he said that he needed a costume that was quick to draw, right?
Yeah.
Like he was under a deadline, right? And and
Yep.
yeah, fuck it, right? I mean, like, oh my God, you could pick out any character, and they're ripped off by something, right?
Oh
So it's
God,
like,
yeah. I mean, like you said, Wolverine.
mhm.
Two Batmans kissing. That's his man. I
I
mean,
kind of, yeah, I kind of wonder if that was actually their thinking, right? They're kind of sitting there with a couple of
but
Batman
it's
dolls, and like,
there.
holy shit.
Once you
Oh yeah,
see it, you can't unsee it.
yeah, you could tell why there's a lot of movie or comics with him unmasked, right? Because just
Yeah.
can't, I don't know, but
They probably
yeah.
got the same thing and like, I can never look at him the same again. I'm not putting a mask on. So let me
uh,
ask you this: out of
yeah.
Wolverine's costumes
Mhm.
through the years, which one's your favorite?
The brown one. the brown in the other
Mine
one.
too. Yeah,
Yeah,
I love the
instantly. I
brown.
really do
Yeah.
like that one. Yeah. So I know. Yeah, I would have loved to seen that kind of play into the live action, right? But
Oh
I'm
God,
kind
yeah.
of I'm glad that they finally got the costume coming up with
Yeah.
the in Deadpool 3. So
I
we'll
would have
see.
loved to seen the brown. We had it in the cut scene for the Wolverine.
Yeah,
Was the
yeah. When they
only
show
time
the
they
yeah
had the brown when he opens the case. It was the
yeah
brown costume. I was like,
yeah.
yes.
So why couldn't they just use that? Right? I'm kind of wondering. Like, I'm already dissing a movie that's not even out yet. But it would have been interesting if they would just like played right off of the Wolverine,
Right.
with that costume and all that, right? So I like that movie actually. I like the Wolverine. It
It-
was okay for what it
yeah,
was.
it was good. Now let me ask you this. Okay, what do you love most about the medium of comics?
I like the independence. What I like is like the uniqueness, the quirky shit, right? Because
Right.
like I like the accessibility of off the beaten path books. Because I'm like growing up, like a lot of like books outside of you had to really look for, right? Because not all the shops carry that, you know. So yeah, I just like all these different little small press publishers that are just taking chances on just odd stories. I think not that's not the norm, right? And
Gotcha.
then also then you're getting and then a lot you're getting a wide variety of arts. I find they're not all the same. There's this I love the gambit of just the different styles that are out there. And the
Right.
writing too. Like some of the writing is really good. And it's not just like it doesn't have to be like a superhero book. You know what I mean? Like it can be, it could be anything really. Yeah.
Right. Well, I'm sure folks are wanting to know this, and I brought it up at the beginning of the show.
Mhm.
You're just like me. You're just like any other creator. You've got something on the back burner.
Mhm.
Tell everybody, if you will, about some of the other projects you have coming up.
Okay, so yeah, so right now Trakovi is my one main thing with Scout Comics. So that's it's a 5-issue run. So issue 2 comes out Wednesday, October 18th. Issue 3 is in November, 4 in December, and it finishes off in January. And then so I'm done with that. That's happening. So I'm currently working on a book called The Sitter, which is going to be coming out with Lesser Known Comics.
Right.
And so it's a one shot. It's a one shot book. And then after that, then I'm gonna immediately work on a Tick bootleg comic. So again, that's gonna be a one shot. So I'm calling this one The Revenge of the Spoon. And so it's like I'm gonna do everything the cover this time. I'm trying to do
Gotcha.
covers now. Like I want to do everything now. Like I
Right.
kind of I shied away from covers. Like it was more a confidence thing. But then Mark at Lesser Known Comics had asked me to do a variant cover for his book, Dead and Still Dying, which is their Kickstarter starts in January, I believe.
Right.
And
Right.
so he had me do a cover, and I was like, okay, good. I feel good about this. So I did that cover, and then I did a cover for Trakovi issue 3, a shop here in town. They're getting like a retailer variant cover that's just specific to
Yeah.
their store, right? So they're only getting like I think like 250 of these made, and so they asked me
Oh
to do the cover.
wow.
So I did the cover for that, and then of course then I did a cover. I went ahead, I did the cover for Revenge of the Spoon. So that one is going to be all black and white. I'm gonna do everything on it, and yeah, and then after that, then I got in Jacoby. There's a character called Grad 83, and
Okay.
Grad 83 is like kind of like this mullet. He's based off of like an 80s metal kid, guys that you went to junior high with, right?
Gotcha.
And so but he's a reporter in Trakovi, right? But he wears like metal shirts and and
Right.
right, he's got the mullet and all that, right? So anyway, so I have I finished a script for a spin-off with him. It's already been edited, so I got to start drawing it. So that's going to be after that, and I'm going to probably end up just self-publishing that one.
Gotcha. Well, let me ask you this, and I might be talking out my ass here because I haven't read the book yet.
Hmm.
Trakovi,
Hmm.
or you mentioned the spinoff possibly.
Hmm.
Is do you plan on doing more stories from Trakovi itself, or is that pretty much that's a done art?
I'd like to.
That story's complete.
Well, that storyline is complete. Like
Right, right,
it's got
right.
a definitive ending, right?
Beginning, I got you.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny when you write an ending and you're so happy with that ending. Like
Right,
it's funny. I'm so at peace with this ending, and it's like it kills me that people are gonna have to wait till January to read this, right? And it's funny because like a lot of people I talk to are waiting to get all 5 copies so they can read it in one
right.
shot, right? So I'm just like, so I'm sitting here fucking twiddling my thumbs, like, fuck, right?
Yeah,
It's killing me because by the time it comes out and people read it, all I've moved on. I will be like completely
gotcha.
separated from it, right? I'm already starting to get separated from it. Um, but yeah, I mean, we'll see. We'll see. It's when it's just you, and we talked about, this, like when it's just you doing everything,
Right.
you gotta watch it, man, because you can really spread yourself thin, right? So I
You really
try to
can.
I try to put as much focus on the current project as I can because it's really easy
Right.
to like start something new and then you're looking ahead, and you're not focusing on what's in front of you,
Right.
So I don't want that to suffer. So we'll see. We'll see. Right now I got no plans for it apart from that spin-off. And the spin-off I was going to do like a 3-issue kind of story arc, right? There is a chance, though. There is a possibility that it might go through Scout Comics again, maybe.
Okay.
So because the editor there actually edited the script, so there's some investment on their end in it, but
Okay.
there's nothing for sure yet. But I'm more than comfortable just doing it on my own.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this. If you were to do a project and see it transferred into another medium, say movies or
Hmm.
comics, what
Yeah.
would you like to see it get translated to?
Well, with Trakovi, I always wanted, and I joked about this. Like, I wanted like some like Eastern European production company to pick it up
Oh,
and
wow.
do like like just do like a European film of it. You know what I mean? Just
Right,
something
right.
all in German, all in Bulgarian. I didn't give a shit. So I would joke about it, but I'm not joking about it. I would love to see,
To see that, yeah. I got
like,
you.
get some like email from some Hungarian, director saying, I want to do this, blah, blah, blah. And then just like see some unknown character, just kind of like,
And just go with it, yeah.
that'd be kind of funny. That'd be really neat. Cause there's a series on Netflix called Cleo. It's spelled Kleo. And
Okay.
it's about an East German operative named Cleo. And she, she wears a tracksuit, she's got this great, like, kind of haircut going on, and she gets framed for a crime she didn't commit, goes to jail.
Right.
The wall comes down and it turns into this revenge. Basically it's like 6 episodes of her just wanting to fucking kill everybody, right?
I'm gonna
And
have to check that out. That
it's
sounds
fantastic.
right up
Yeah.
my alley.
So it's all in German. It's all in
Oh,
German
wow.
subtitles, right? But it's just like it's the most addictive series. I love everything
Yeah.
about it. I love the title logo. I love her look. I love the characters, everything about it, right? And so that to me it was like, this is what I want. If my comic ever got picked up, I would love for that. In that kind of setting. Though
I got you.
adult animation obviously would. I mean, that's probably everyone's goal, to be honest, right?
Right.
But I don't know. Fuck. You never know with these things, man. It's like there's a
You
scout book.
really don't, man.
There's
It's there's so much out there nowadays. I mean, it's wide open, especially with
Mhm.
with Amazon and Netflix and like what they like Amazon in particular. They've taken Invincible and
Mhm.
just they brought that out in a cartoon, and I fucking
Mhm.
loved it. You
Yeah, and
know,
it doesn't happen like for everybody, right? Like
right,
like Paper Girls, right?
right,
Everyone loved the book. The series came out on Amazon. Nobody liked the series. It's gone, right?
yep,
Or was it Jupiter's Legacy?
yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Netflix,
so
yep.
everyone, the guys that love the book, love the book.
Horrible. I
Hate
mean, yeah, I
hate the
like the
show.
book. The
Yeah,
series was,
hate the show, right?
oh,
So it's funny how it's just or Sweet Tooth. So season 1 came out. It was really good. Season 1 was great. I loved it and all that. Season
right.
2 came out, and season 2 didn't even fucking like no one's talking about it. Like no
Yeah.
one's talking about it, right?
No,
So
I didn't
it's
even know season 2 was out yet.
there you go.
That's
I know, isn't it
that's the
fucking?
sad part of it.
It's crazy, right? So I know, like, you know, they announced that something is killing the children. The Boom comic, like they have you know, it's being developed for a
It's
live action, right?
okay, awesome.
For Netflix, right? So it's getting there. It's getting there. But I'm kind of like, you know, this is probably going to be like the first series where I've been really invested in the book, right? Because like
Right.
I've been with that series since issue 1 came out,
Me
right?
too.
Right.
That's
And
kind of what got me back in. I'd been out for
yeah,
a while, and then I seen that. I
yeah,
started seeing. I'm always keeping up with comics, even when
mhm,
I wasn't in comics. And
yeah,
I seen this. I seen this little. It might have been CBR.
mhm,
It might have been one of those articles or whatever. I'm scrolling
yeah.
through there, and I seen it. I was like, "What the hell is this?"
Yeah, and it's funny with
And
that
I
book.
I jumped on.
And it's nice too because, you know, if you end up with, like, you know, if you're lucky enough to buy issue 1, you know, first printing, fuck man, that book's
Right.
like $600-700 now,
Oh, I
right?
know.
Like
I
it's just
know.
like damn, even like some of like the other books too are like they're crazy
Yeah.
expensive, right? So like I don't get into comics for the return investment because
Me either.
it's
I
it's
just
ga-
love the medium.
it's
Yeah.
gambling, right? You know what I mean? Like I don't buy
Yeah.
multiples or any shit like that, right? So,
No.
but yeah, yeah, it's funny. It's like like getting optioned and all that. It just seems to be like it's a crapshoot, right? So it's like there's a
It
book.
really is.
Scout Comics has a title called Ranger Stranger, and it came out in 2000. It just got picked up. It actually got optioned
Oh
by
wow.
Kevin Hart's production company, so they're gonna develop it for an adult animation, right? That's like fucking
Okay.
3 years after it was released, right? So it's like you just don't know, right? But they get to
Yeah.
like you don't like you know you don't get into this to like you know get optioned
Right.
and
Right.
and that because you
Yeah.
just don't know,
We
right?
we got into it to tell a story,
That's exactly what it
and
is, right? Yeah.
everything else is a bonus. That's the way I look at it.
You know what? That's exactly what it is for me too. It's like, you know, I'm just happy to, you know, I was happy to put a book on my own. I was happy to get picked up by a publisher. I was happy that people read
Right.
it. Happy people liked it. Have not so happy people didn't like it. You know, it's just like
Yeah.
it is what it is,
But
right?
you have
So
to take that. You literally put yourself out there.
you do, you
We're
know.
super exposed when we
Oh my God,
do this.
yeah. And if you can take it, like if you can kind of like, you know, it hits you for a day or two, right? But if
Right.
you can kind of if you can get past it, then you know you're okay, right? So it's like
Right.
I know I'm okay. It's like it's fine, you know. So I can you know I can peacefully move on and you know and do what I got to do.
Gotcha.
Yeah, yeah.
You really have to have thick skin sometimes.
Oh my
You
God.
can't wear your feelings on your sleeve as an
No,
independent creator.
you gotta know that not everyone's gonna like what you do.
Right.
There's no way, no how you're not gonna please everybody, right? You
No.
know,
No, hell no. I
in
wouldn't
this
want to
like
be
seriously
honest with you.
like you know there are people that probably hated Mother Teresa, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Despite all the good that she
exactly.
did,
They're like that horrible person. She's
right? There's
such a
that one
fake.
guy that's like
Yeah.
fuck her, right? You know what I mean?
hmm
You know,
hmm
it's just how it is, right? So it's like
That's the
you know,
world we live in. That's
it is.
human. That's human nature.
But you know what? It's funny that's the thing, you know, you got to respect is like, you know, someone's going to have a differing opinion, you know,
Right.
you might not like it, but you got to respect that, you know, they have the right to not agree with what, with what, you think is right or what you think is, good kind of thing. Right. So like we're talking about
Right.
Batman versus Superman, the movie, right? Majority of people hated it, minority people liked it, right? I'm like the
Yeah.
minority. I really liked it, and that's my right, right? I liked it.
I.
So
It's like we said. A lot of people that hated it. I don't think they had any kind of grasp whatsoever on the what it was brought from. From the
mhm.
Frank Miller Batman Returns. I don't think
Yeah.
they had any clue. They weren't true comic book fans. I don't
Yeah,
believe.
well, it's funny. It's like people go into expectations, right? With when they go
Yeah.
into when they open up a comic, they have an expectation, right?
Right.
But with the beauty today of like all the technology that's at your fingers and all that, you can make a fan version of your favorite titles.
Oh yeah.
Really, like
Definitely.
I've seen some Batman fan made films. They're fucking great, right? Star Wars has like
Yeah.
boatload of fan made whatever medium, you know.
Have you seen? You sidetracking me again, you dirty little son of a gun. Oh, oh God! I just had it. Jamie Costa. He did a Obi-Wan film. Have you seen? Do you know?
No,
Are you familiar with that?
no, I would like to be though.
You need to check it out.
Okay, okay.
When we get off of here, I'll have to look it up and I'll try and get the link and
Send
send
me the
that to
link.
you.
Yeah. Oh my God, I
Yeah,
would actually
Jamie.
love.
Jamie is incredible, man. I
Oh,
mean,
cool.
he's and it's weird. He kind of, you know how people they'll do an imitation. It's like he actually becomes him. It's
Yeah,
weird, man.
that's cool.
He does some amazing stuff. I mean, he really does.
Yeah, you know, and that's to me, it's like if someone hates something so much, then I'm like, then you do one. Let's see what you can
Right.
do, right? Write a
Yeah.
book, right? It's like, you know, like with, you know, we're talking about bootleg comics, right? Like I'm doing a Tick bootleg.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I grew up on the Tick, you know, I
Hmm.
learned to draw from Ben Edlund, you know, how he, you know,
Right.
whatever. It's like if you look at my character Trakovi, he's basically just a knockoff of the Tick, right? He's the fucking Tick minus the whatever, right? A little bit chubby. It's funny. It's just it is
Gotcha.
what he is, right? And you know, but I find sometimes like the writing of the Tick is really just a bit. It's a little too. I don't know.
I know what you're saying.
It's
Yeah.
it's it's
I know
it's it,
exactly what
it's
you're
not
saying.
it's
Yeah.
not great. It's not great at times, right? And
Right.
so and you know, so my thinking with doing bootleg is like, well, I'm gonna take a stab at it. I'm gonna make this darker,
Yeah.
right? Like I like to see Tick in a more, you know, like
Mature, more.
yeah.
Yeah.
So like I got like with Revenge of the Spoon with my Tick bootleg. So basically it starts off with like, you know, the Tick and Arthur are just kind of sitting on a ledge of a building, just talking, right? You know,
Huh.
and then basically a wayward bullet basically blows half of Arthur's head off.
Oh wow.
Arthur gets killed. But the Tick, because the Tick, you know, the Tick's kind of like, you know, he's just he's kind of dumb. You know, he doesn't really understand what's happening sometimes.
Right.
So, you know, then I'll have him basically kind of, you know, getting to kicking a door to the hospital. He's like, "You gotta save my friend." And they look down, like half of Arthur's face is gone, right? He just basically like he doesn't understand that Arthur's dead,
You.
right?
So like
You
we
know,
can't put his head back
yeah, we
together.
can't.
Yeah.
Yeah, the rest of his head, right?
Yeah.
And then he finally realized he starts to kind of like come to realization that his friend is dead. And then
Right.
what comes out of Arthur is like I got this like spirit, almost like a symbiote, right? Named
Okay.
Jarthur. Yeah, his name's Jarthur, right? So
Oh wow.
he's like this like evil kind of. It's almost like a Venom type parody, right? And
Gotcha.
so this whatever comes out, and then so he kind of somehow coaxes the Tick into finding out who killed Arthur, and he puts the Tick on this murderous investigation, right? So he goes,
Gotcha.
he starts going through like, you know, the roster of villains, you know, and he first tries to negotiate with one to find out, but he accidentally kills him, and you realize it's much easier just to kill than to whatever, and he just goes on a murderous
Gotcha.
rampage, blah blah
Oh
blah.
wow.
And then at the end, you finally there's going to be a reveal of who the Tick actually is, because throughout the lore of the Tick, you've never known who he is, right? He's
No
always
clue.
been
Yeah.
So I'm gonna unmask him. I'm gonna like totally unmask him, and
Hell
then just
yeah.
you know what I mean. So I don't know what I'm gonna have yet, right? Who's gonna be underneath that mask, right? So we'll see. Yeah. Anyway, so like I said, it's just I just wanted to kind of tell my own story, you know, of a character like this,
Sounds
right?
really fun.
And
It
you know,
really does.
and like I said, I got to make sure that I don't, you know, I don't make any money off this, right? I'm going to treat it as fan art, you know, and I'm going to give it
Gotcha.
away. I want to give it away with copies of other books, and that way, then there's no, you know, I don't want to be stuck
Yeah,
with
they don't
anyone.
come after you. The man
Yeah,
doesn't come after you. Yeah.
yeah. So we'll see. So fingers crossed.
Okay. Well, man, I tell you, keep me in the loop on that. I'd love to sit down and read this thing.
I post like mad. Like I'm always posting work in like work in process for all my books, like from like first little sketch blurbs of like, you know, whatever writings and shit like that. And is yeah, so everyone, if you go through like my Instagram, like you can see like how a book goes from like start to finish. Like I always,
Gotcha.
you know, so yeah.
And what I'll do, I'll get with you, Adrian. If you'll send me all your links, I
Hmm.
will post those in the description.
Okay.
And when this airs for everybody,
Mhm.
they'll be able to jump on and check everything out you got going on.
That's rad. Yeah. Thank
And
you.
then,
Thanks for doing that.
hey, I appreciate you coming on the show today,
Hey, I
man.
appreciate you for
This has
having me on the
been
show.
awesome. I
And
have extremely enjoyed it.
that's all we got to do, right? Like, it's like we got to.
Yeah,
It's funny. It's like we all got to support each other, right? Like we have to, like,
definitely.
we got to go on these, like, on these shows, right? We got to, just talk about each other's shit, and
Yeah, I mean, it's not like we're the big two, and we have ads coming out every other day about our next project, and
yeah, but
we
it's
don't
like,
have Diamond saying, "Oh yeah, his book is coming out such and such. Buy it
yeah,
now."
but
You
we're doing
know?
it though, right? I mean, like, it's funny. It's like
Yeah,
you got to stop and kind of realize you're doing it. Like,
exactly.
like, fuck, like, I just, like, it's funny. It's like, here I was, I want to do a comic book when I was like, 15, 16, 17, right? And it's like I haven't done
Right.
a book until I was like 47, 46. Like,
Yeah,
it's fucking
it's
insane, right?
crazy, man.
It's
Yep.
insane, right? But it's like, but at least I can kind of tell someone who's like panicking, in their 20s or whatever, that, oh, I
Yeah.
haven't, whatever. I'm like, don't worry about it. It's
Yeah.
literally it's a lifelong career, you know. Well, I can't
Definitely.
really I can't really call it a career because I'm not really making any money off it, right? So,
But you're still living the dream.
but I'm still living the dream because I can tell a story,
Yeah.
right? And you know what? And then it's like you do one project to create an opportunity for the next project, right? And
Exactly.
then you get an opportunity to meet people, right? Like
Right.
you get to be, like, on a podcast, or you get to do a variant cover for somebody, or
Right.
you can write for an anthology and all that. It's just like, it's all increments, right? I wish I would have started, like, earlier. But things happen for a reason, right?
My daughter is the one that really talked me into actually starting this journey.
Hmm. Yeah.
I was just like you, 15, 16, 17 years old. I had all the plans in the world when I
Yeah.
graduated high school to going to Joe Kubert's and getting this. I was going to be the next big thing in Image,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
and here we are. I'll be 46 next month,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
2020, I released, no, excuse me, 2021, I released my first book.
Yeah.
And here in just a couple months, I'll be releasing my fifth book, you
Oh,
know.
wow. Yeah.
But she told me, I was like, yeah, she said, Dad, she said, why don't you pursue this?
Mhm.
I had drew a picture or something because I never let my art go. I would go for long periods of time not doing it,
Mhm.
but I still constantly drew, you know.
Yeah, yeah, same here.
And
Yeah, yeah.
and she said, "Well, why? What's holding you back?"
Mhm.
I'm like, "Well, I'm 40 something years old, baby. Nobody gives a shit about what I got to say." She said, "But you're not dead," and that
Yeah.
clicked. I mean, that light bulb went up. Hey, you're
Good
right.
for good for her, man. That's, what?
Yeah,
It was the same thing with my kids too, right? Like my
yeah,
daughter as well, right? She's kind of like, encouraged me and all that. And like she's going to
yeah.
university right now, and she's like an arts major, and I
That's
use her.
awesome.
She actually was my layout editor for the
That's
Trakovi run, right?
fantastic.
Because it's nice having somebody from a different generation look at your work
Right.
and have a different perspective of things, right? Well, this should be this way, and this should be,
Gotcha.
don't say this, right? You know what I mean? You got something, you got
Right.
to watch what you say and all that. But yeah, it's funny now. It's just like, it's funny when you kind of like, when you no longer care about age, then it's
Right.
like you just don't care. You just you
Yeah.
work, right? And again, too, we're lucky because we can do all stages of a book, which is
Exactly.
huge, because I got to tell you, man, I feel for like writers that have to like source out all the other jobs in a
Oh
book, like an
God,
artist and that.
you
Fuck, I
know
feel for
it's
them, dude. I feel for them, right? Because like I
yeah.
understand like the cost involved is just,
Right.
and
Just
they
the
must,
cover alone is
yeah.
350. I mean, that's pretty
It's
much the going standard rate nowadays.
isn't it
350
insane?
or up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's insane. So I'm doing a book. It's called SNFU Tales. So we have in Canada we had this a punk band called SNFU. they were
Okay.
they were huge, right? For us, they were huge, right? And
Gotcha.
the fan, like in the 80s, 90s, and the singer died like a few years ago. And but the fandom has always maintained whatever, very strong fandom. So myself and then a couple other guys, we decided to do. We're doing it right now, an anthology where we pick 4 songs from SNFU's catalog, and we write a horror shorts, like a short story for each song.
Oh,
and,
wow.
Yeah. So so I'm just writing, which is nice, which is it feels nice just to write. And so, so Dylan Corbisser is doing all the drawings. So Dylan Corbisser did a couple of variants for me for the Scout Comics run at Trakovi. And he's got a book called Metalhead Samurai, which is fucking
seen it. Yeah.
Yeah. So he actually, Dylan is sort of like, he's kind of like in and around like the lesser known comics, family as well. I think he did a story in that punk anthology that came out recently.
I didn't get on that, and I hate I missed it. I wish
I missed it too.
Jumped on that.
It's a gorgeous book. Fuck, I love that book. They did such a good job putting that together. So anyway, so I think Dylan was part of that as well. Anyway, so he's doing all the drawing and that, and so anyway, so we applied for grants. You know, so we're hoping to kind of raise money just to pay him properly. You know,
Gotcha.
And then we're gonna do a Kickstarter as well down the road. But just like, you know, realizing how much you got to like kind of raise to cover.
It's insane.
An artist, like, you know what I mean? Like you said, I mean, it's like, you know, about, you know, $300 a page, you know, and fuck, that adds up so fast. And, you know,
yeah, it does.
So my hat's off to like these writers that can continuously put books out in some capacity, because I get it. I understand. Like it's a struggle. Fuck, is that a struggle? You know?
It really is.
Yeah.
But I mean, anything worth doing, you know, usually is. You know, it's staying with the path, or stay in the course, so to speak, and
it's totally worth it. Yeah, I love being part of this. Like, I really do love being part of this, and I always regret not getting back into it sooner. But like I said, now it's like, you know, I've met some really cool people. I've developed, you know, working relationships with some people.
Right.
You know, I met Mark at Lesser Known Comics, and so I'm developing relationships.
Mark's incredible.
You know, yeah. I'm really looking forward to putting a book out with him next year and seeing how that goes. You know, contacts at Scout Comics, just little things, right? You know, and
right.
And if
you're building a comic book career.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. If it does go anywhere, great. You know, but if it stays status quo, at least, you know, as long as I'm putting something out, that's all I really care about, right?
I got you.
Yeah,
man, that's the main thing. Getting your story out of here.
Yeah,
and getting it in front of somebody.
It's a privilege. Like, honestly,
it really is.
It really is, because when you realize how many people would love to kind of be able to do that, to put something out, because you know, you gotta make the time, you know, to do it, right?
That's the hardest part, I find, for me.
Yeah, time and confidence. Yeah. Time and confidence are the two biggest things. Talent, you don't need talent. You know, I could, like, fuck. I am not. Just like, I fuck.
Oh man, you're being. No.
Yeah, it's just like, trust me. I'm not. You know, yeah. So, but if you can, like, you know, I mean, if you can't draw, then maybe what you can draw is good, right? Maybe it's something so different. Maybe something so unique that, you know, it'll give you a distinctive voice, right? And it's like, get the first book out. It might be shit, but the next book's gonna be better than that one, and the book after that's gonna be better than that, right? So if you read Trakovi 1 to 5. You'll see, like, you'll see the
art progression.
Yeah, you'll see it, right? You'll see it, right? I jump back on issue 1 so many times to kind of freshen up a few things, and it's like, I can only put so much lipstick on this pig. You know what I mean? It's just like, I'm gonna just go with it.
You can only put so many sprinkles on a turd in the punch bowl.
Oh, fuck. It still stinks, right? It doesn't matter, right? So, but then you're like, fuck it, it's fine. Like, people like it. So,
exactly.
And it's like, and people can see the progression, right, from issue 1 to issue 5, and then they'll see it with the sitter, and then they'll see it with, you know, with the Tick bootleg. So it's just, you know, you just kind of want to get people to kind of just hop on the journey with you, and just kind of watch you progress, right? Because then they feel like they have ownership in you. You know what I mean? Like they feel like they've invested time to follow you and to see you kind of, like, you know, grow, right? And which is really cool, right? And so you just want to pay these people back and put books out,
right?
And, you know,
well, you know, I say it all the time. Get the work out there, and the audience will find you.
Just get it.
I mean, just you put yourself out there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, quit worrying about, what people are going to say, because it's just like we talked about earlier. There's always going to be those people that are going to shit on you.
Don't worry about those
But
guys. Yeah.
yeah, fuck them.
No, get
Just
your
put
book
it
out.
out there, get it out there, and your
Yeah.
audience will find you.
Yeah. I mean, book one might get 2 people, right? You might get 2 people for book one. Book 2 might have 5 people. And you know what I mean? It's a slow whatever. It just don't go in expecting, a movie deal.
Yeah.
Right. When you
Right.
put something
Exactly.
out, like, it's not gonna happen, right? Don't expect publishers to be, coming at you, because when you put out a book, 1,000 other people are putting out a book the same day. So
no doubt.
just do your thing, and then if something happens, then great. Then, but just do it for yourself, and then, it'll play out. Like, that's me. I'm just doing it for myself, and if something happens, great. If not, then at least I put something out.
There you go. And I hate to end this thing, but that seems like a good marker right there.
Yeah, it works for me. Yeah.
Perfectly said. Adrien, again, thanks so much for coming on. Really appreciate you being on the show, man. And hey, good luck with everything. And it's such a pleasure to meet you, brother.
Yeah, you too, man. So yeah, looking forward to your work. So we'll definitely keep in touch, and then if you ever need anything from me, let me know.
Hey, I appreciate it, bud. I appreciate it. Let me knock this thing out. Hey, once again, you guys jump on, follow, give us some likes, ring the little bell so you get notifications. Hey, follow the show. Tell every fucking body about the show, and tell everybody about Trakovi. Get out, get this book, support Adrien so he can keep bringing you these amazing stories. All right. Peace out, homies. Y'all take it easy.